everybody, it's Georgia Weidman, author of Penetration Testing, a hands-on introduction to hacking, and your instructor for this accompanying lab. So this time we're going to look at OS command injection through a web application. So like the SQL injection, this is really an issue of users are able to put in input and it's being run on the underlying system, and if it's not handled correctly by the developer, the user can break out of the command and run additional commands. So, let's get to it, shall we? All right, put that down for now. So we're gonna do our BWAP app again. So grab your IP address, and it's gonna be .3, and log in, and choose your bug, and let's start with just the regular OS command injection. So it does a DNS lookup on nsa.gov. So what that's doing on the back end is, doing some sort of system command and doing the DNS lookup on nsa.gov. So what we can do is we use a semicolon, and we can do like psaux, see the running processes. So with the semicolon, it's still going to run the nsa.gov one, but it's also going to run our command as well, which is pretty cool and certainly something to look for. Any user input that gets passed to a system command, we might be able to, link commands together. The semicolon is not the only escape character. We can also do like this, and then do, psaux again. And some systems you might also be able to do and it really just depends. I don't think that works on this one. And alright, so the harder one is blind. Like this one's nice. It outputs the data that we tell it, but that won't always be the case. Things may run on the system on the back end and it not spit out, what it says. So, enter your IP address and it's going to ping, if we just, ping ourselves .2, all it says is, did you capture our golden packet? It doesn't put out the output of the ping. So what we can do is, say for instance, just ping ourselves and then pipe that, so that up thing, what is that even called? I don't even know. I'll just call it a pipe. And then we can pipe, netcat into our IP address, and that's going to be the .2 because we want to call back to ourselves and say port 4444. Of course, we need a netcat listener on our box to make that happen. So netcat local listen verbosely on port 4444. So now we've got a listener. So what this should do is allow us to send that ping packet, so which I suppose is the golden packet it's talking about, and catch it on our netcat listener side, because it's not stopping us from putting additional code in here. So if we do the ping now, sure enough, over here we get the ping data over here. So we are able to capture data, but there is a flag on this box. So what we want to do is get a command shell on it. But, back in the old days of awesomeness, you could do like netcat, and then, IP address, port, and then -e for execute, and execute bin bash. But netcat, I guess because it's so dangerous and people using this way, you'll be hard pressed to find a netcat instance, unless it's on specifically made for hacking that still has that enabled. So we actually have to try a little bit harder. That said, there is a bash command, so your command line kung fu comes into play here. There is a bash command that will make a connection over TCP and give you a command shell. So, because you'll see why I wrote it down, because, my ability to type that is hopeless. So, again, we just do, localhost, semicolon to break out of that command and run an additional command. So we're going to run a bash command, bash interactive dev TCP IP address we want to attach to and port, and then we're sending standard into this connection. Again, this is just some command line kung fu, a good thing to have in your arsenal. I mean, you can always Google it. I know I did. But yeah, this is how you can make bash, make a connection, and give us a shell. So you don't need netcat or anything like that for it. It's just, some syntax you have to remember or Google. It'll definitely be in version 2 of the book because we used netcat-e in the first edition, but that's pretty much dead at this point. And so again, let's start up our netcat listener. And send this guy, and it does kind of make the page hang, which, as we saw when we were doing like our PHP attacks with the uploads where the web pages was hang, that's generally an indication that like something interactive is happening, so that's a good sign. So sure enough, it throws out some errors, but we did actually get control of this box. So who am I? I am www-data, so limited access. So my guess is the flag is not going to be in root. We can do a find on the flag. I've said that every time, but not always showed it. Name, flag, star, so it's flagged something. And since we are just a limited user, if we just run this, we're going to get a ton of permission denied errors because there's a lot of places that www-data can't see. But if we do, so a little bit more command line kung fu. So if we do find, starting at root, name, flag, star, and then we put 2, which is standard error. So 0 is standard in, 1 is standard out, 2 is standard error. So we're going to send standard error just to dev null so it won't get printed out. So things will be a little bit nicer. So this time we just got things that just have the word flag in them. And sure enough, our flag, well, it is in temp. So, well, fair enough, right? But it's got a name that's not just flag, but that star at the end will look for flag and anything. So that should be your flag. And so again, the main thing behind this is user input is being passed to the system command, so it'll run on the underlying system, and if the developer is not careful, an attacker can pony on top of that and be able to run additional commands themselves. So that's OS command injection, and that's all for this one, and I'll see you next time.